Hi guys, my name is Lelasophia. I am an artist and fine jewelry designer. If you like contemporary fine jewelry, if you like luxury handbags, all things interiors, and I have some fun videos for you. You guys, okay, part 2 of, honestly, I said 4, but there might be many because all of my favorite fine jewelry designers just keep coming to mind. Part 2 of my contemporary favorite fine jewelry designers that you should know. First and foremost, if you guys are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you in all of my future videos. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram at lelasophia jewelry. I put up videos every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and so I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Okay, so if you haven't seen part 1, it's not going in any order, it's totally fine, but essentially, stemming off of my very first YouTube video a year plus ago, for my channel, I did a very comprehensive list of 20 fine jewelry designers in this contemporary fine jewelry world who I absolutely love, who I think not a lot of people, especially on this platform, talk about. Quickly, if you guys are new here, I've worked in the industry for, this is my 11th year working in some facet in the industry. I worked in many different kind of disciplines of this industry. I went on to own my own store, and then I started my own line exactly almost 4 years ago. So I have just been so blessed to be like fully entrenched in this world for so long. Again, one of my major goals on this platform is bringing awareness to these incredible designers. So this list, as we build up to my favorites, which is totally going to be the last one, obviously let's build some anticipation, but this list I put together kind of like the most well-known contemporary fine jewelry designer, so I'm sure you guys can guess. And if there's any designer that you want me to spend more time on, definitely let me know and I can do a full comprehensive video. First and foremost, let's just go ahead and start off with who I think is possibly one of the most well-known contemporary fine jewelry designers like of our day, of our time, none other than Foundre. Oh my goodness, Foundre. I've talked on and on and on about Foundre. I think was one of the designers that made me fall in love again with like really, really chunky gold pieces. I have had the pleasure of working with their pieces, and honestly, it's like it's no other jewelry was more fun to put together. You could mix and match the entire kind of, I'd say, foundation of the line is really creating your own story, creating your own piece that's going to be so personal to you. The designer is such a beautiful, incredible human being in general, but I think she really put storytelling at the forefront. Again, this is all just in my total humble opinion. And the pieces that made me fall in love with Foundre, other than, of course, some of the motifs, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a motif girl. Pieces that made me fall in love with it are the ones that you could really mix and match. And so she'd have these gorgeous chains that really were meant to be kind of piled on like a book, like a story, like you writing your own story. And so each one of her pieces has this gorgeous meaning behind them. And so you can really kind of mix and match and put together an entire symbolic, you know, either timeline of your own life or something that you love or an area of life that you love. And even though I kind of stack my own jewelry very differently, I love it on other people. And I think it's absolutely so stunning. And I've just seen the most gorgeous kind of combinations put together, and each and every piece that she came out with, that she will continue to come out with, I really am like, oh my god, these are drool worthy. They're absolutely stunning. So that, I think, is like the foundation of Foundre, is really building that storytelling. And I will tell you, it is the most gorgeous fine jewelry store you will ever go into your entire life. If you have the pleasure of coming to New York, go all the way downtown, not all the way, but pretty close to all the way downtown, go into the Foundre store. It is such a dream come true. And some of their very first pieces are still my favorites. However, the line has expanded tremendously in the last few years. And another one that was the very, I have to think about this, that was not the first jewelry designer I ever worked with or pieces that I ever worked with, but the one that honestly made me fall in love with fine jewelry, and I never have owned a piece from them, but I've gifted it several times over. This is Wake. Wake is also a New York-based designer. This is not just the New York-based designers, I promise, but Wake happens to be located in Brooklyn. And when I tell you, I remember this was like 9 years ago. I worked for a fine jewelry store that was like not really fine jewelry based, but they had an incredible collection. And so I somehow seemingly was able to like really grow their fine jewelry department. And Wake was the one that I had the most fun selling because it's just so gorgeous. Again, There are so many elements that have kind of grown and changed, but again, in my humble opinion, I feel like the foundation of Wake are these beautiful little opals that the designer uses and kind of like plays around with. It's whimsical and delicate and dreamlike, and there's something so special about it. I talked about Hirotaka in my last video, how Hirotaka was the first designer that I started purchasing as a client, and Wake is not similar in visually, but like the concepts are very similar, that it's delicate, it can be stacked, and yet one piece on its own is just so beautiful and really, really stands out. I love Wake, and they've just been coming out with more and more and more kind of motifs, and yet always keep the foundation of the brand as being something just so absolutely stunning and kind of out of this world. Another jewelry designer who, again, probably everybody's neck and neck on this list, it just depends on what you like, diamonds or gold, but if you're a diamond person, and actually, I will say that this designer does the mixing of the two very well. If you love big old gorgeous diamonds and stones, and you also love big old chunky gold pieces, you probably love Shay jewelry. Oh my goodness. Again, another one of the first brands that I ever worked with in person. When I tell you chunk is the word that immediately comes to mind whenever I think of Shay. It is, first of all, it's one of the, like, I'd say most pulled brands. So for so many years, especially when there were kind of more like celebrity driven magazines, every shoot had a Shay piece. Every shoot had like these gorgeous Shay jewelry pieces layered on every celebrity that you've probably known about. Shay is stunning. And again, there's something really cool that's very similar to the next designer that I'll talk about. That's like, it's like, instead of going to, you know, a custom jeweler who sometimes, you know, might make a piece that's absolutely incredible, but like, you know, when you go to your diamond district in whatever local city, I only know the New York one, so maybe it's a bit, you know, overwhelming, let's say. When you go to a diamond district, when you have a jeweler making you pieces, it's not exactly, you know, it's a very unique experience, and it's essentially, I'm trying to be very positive here, it's essentially, instead of going into someone's office or going into the jewelry annex, you're really getting such a luxe experience any of the places where Shay jewelry is sold. And it just like, it's that modern jeweler, I think, is what I think of as Shay, and yet they have so many gorgeous motifs themselves. I've always personally wanted one of their little bee motifs. I love that so much. They have really cool hand chains and body chains, but I think, like, when I think of Shay, I think of the huge, gigantic, chunky Cuban link pieces. I think that they were maybe the first ones to make a quote-unquote feminine, chunky Cuban link, and that give all credit to them. Which, by the way, there are a lot of modern jewelers kind of modernizing the jewelry, custom jewelry experience, so I just have to say that. But from a contemporary jewelry designer, from a real designer standpoint, Shay, I think, really kind of corners the market, along with this next designer that I'll talk about. Ooh, none other than Anita Co. Like, are you kidding me? Also, I'd say maybe the most well-known designer on this list. Anita Co is the modern diamond designer. I think that Anita Co so beautifully was able to merge the diamond world in with today's buyer. And yes, there are gorgeous motifs. I owned a safety pin earring and wore it for so long. So many people have that. That's what I think is like the cool, edgy version of her pieces. But really, if you want a diamond tennis necklace, if you want a diamond tennis bracelet, if you want a really sweet little diamond eternity band, Anita Co is kind of perfect. And I think that the leaf collections, the several different collections and motifs of leaves, those are ones that I'd say are like the most, it's just so inherently her. Like, there's something about it that's so inherently Anita Co that she took something that was really unique, but really like made it's very hard to make a contemporary piece incredibly timeless that looks like if you bought it at a vintage fair, I'd believe you. And so Anita Co has merged the world of modernizing that experience and getting something that's curated and sleek and so beautiful, but you can still get a gorgeous, timeless tennis necklace or something that seems like that I, as a jewelry designer, would always think of as this is where you go to a diamond dealer for, but making it so gorgeous and really giving that like timeless experience. Oh my goodness. And then I have to always give credit where credit is due, because even though brands like, especially Hirotaka from my last video, which I talked about, which I'll link below if you guys want to watch that, Hirotaka was the designer that really that I started purchasing for myself, but when I found out about Jackie Aish, that was the designer who I was like, oh my, I fell down the rabbit hole. I, for years, was a Jackie Aish girly, okay? I have owned many of her pieces and I have worked very closely with her pieces in the past, in several different iterations. And when I tell you, I was obsessed. I would physically get all of their booklets and I would be so obsessed. I was constantly looking through their Instagram. Another California-based designer who I think just truly cornered the market. She is the body jewelry designer. And honestly, any cool body chain, any cool hand chain, any cool ear chain that you've seen on a celebrity is most likely Jackie Aish. Especially she had a moment. Everybody was zoned in on Jackie Aish, and I know people still to this day love her, and her foundational pieces really have not changed that much in the best way, meaning she stayed true to herself, she stayed true to her voice. I wore hand chains from her literally for 8 years straight. It took other people being like, okay, maybe why not try something new? Why not try something I literally had to be told from other jewelry designers, you've been wearing those for a really long time, let's try something new. And it was right. I honestly, I had to slowly, gracefully part ways with some of my Jackie Aish pieces. Honestly, it just was the designer who I was like, when you get that thumping heart, true love, she was the one for me. And you guys, that has been part 2 of my personal favorite contemporary fine jewelry designers that I think everybody should know and should be talked about, especially on this platform. As always, I can't wait to hear your thoughts and I can't wait to see you in my next one. Bye guys.